Hi, everyone. Greetings. Welcome. It is your shaman, your sister in spirit, your friend Alesha here. And I am so excited to be with you today as I get everything set up. So we'll go through the announcements as usual. This Saturday at 7, Anthony from GeneOhm Sound and Wellness and I are going to be at Empowered Wellness, doing our Shamanic Sound Journey. And I hope to see some of you there. I always love getting together with Anthony and doing this modality. It's so much fun. And we just got to do this together at metaStone, which is a new wellness center that has opened up in Wellsburg. If you did not know, go check it out. It's owned by Heather Tokus. Some of you may know her as the Butterfly Lady in Wellsburg. So go check that out. We will also be there on the 18th of April. I'll be teaching yoga on Monday at Empowered, and also not this Thursday, but next Thursday evening at 7. And let's get right into it. So hi everyone, I see we got some people here logged on. If you want to send in a comment, drop some comments in on this conversation, please follow me on Instagram at Alesha's _healing_heart. Find me on my Facebook group, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And now let's begin. Today's topic is a fun one. It's about spiritual bypassing. So I had an amazing conversation with my team, both spiritually and somebody that I just love so dearly, Samantha Thornhill, who is the creator and founder of the Aspirant agency that I'm in. She's an amazing oracle reader. Definitely go check her out. We go live on Fridays at 3 p.m. on ClubHouse. And I believe this Friday we're doing some intuitive healing. So definitely go check that out. Hello. So spiritual bypassing. You know, there are a lot of us right now, like spirituality is a hot topic. And especially now that we have the internet where a lot of us are able to connect with each other. I mean, we're learning about so many different kinds of spiritual practices, spiritual tools, and it's amazing. We get to see these people who are beautiful and like living their best life in the sun, going on these vacations or being in these tropical things, doing all kinds of stuff, representing what spirituality maybe should look like. And for those that are really, really trying to find their way inside of this, I feel like it's my responsibility to come on and really talk about spiritual bypassing, talking about some of the things that can really come up inside of the spiritual journey that are going to lead you away from the whole point of this journey in the first place. Okay. So, I also want to say my way is not the one and only way. I'm just a human being out here spitting some possibilities. Okay. So for anything that does not resonate with you, throw it in the trash. Like, who am I to tell you how to live your life? You know, I'm no one. Okay. But as somebody that deeply loves people and as a person that has experienced suffering and is continuously trying to show up to my personal development and to know what it feels like to be in a state of suffering and really seeking some sort of direction, I do think that having this conversation is very important. Okay. So spiritual bypassing was actually coined by John Wellwood, who is a psychotherapist and an author in transpersonal psychology. Okay. So what spiritual bypassing is, and this is a quote, so I'm going to read it, are spiritual ideas and practices to sidestep personal, emotional, unfinished business, to shore up a shaky sense of self, or to belittle basic needs, feelings, and developmental tasks. And I got this quote from Psychology Today. So basically what this is whenever we start to use spiritual tools, getting around spiritual people, And we start to really use these things to avoid or repress emotions, thoughts, experiences, and pretty much avoid our own personal responsibility to our own healing, okay, to showing up to ourselves, to showing up to our lives. And this can really, really begin to cloud and create a lot of confusion in what the real goal of spirituality even is in the first place. So, I'm going to give you a few examples that I found to be super helpful to get a little bit of clarity in this. So, the first one would be if we feel some sort of emotion, right? We're feeling some sort of anger we're about a person or a situation in our lives, and we use silence or meditation as a tool to calm ourselves. It's like, I'm feeling really upset right now. I'm just going to sit here in silence rather than actually dealing with the issue at hand. This is a form of spiritual bypassing, because what we're doing is we are choosing to step away from taking action that's going to improve our self-worth and self-esteem by remaining silent. As somebody who has done this before, by remaining silent, I was not living in the moment. Okay? I was using a spiritual tool as a way to not speak my truth, to not be honest and authentic about where I was and about the situation that I was in. Does this make sense? If this makes sense, I would love to see somebody drop a comment like, oh my gosh, I see that, right? Using these tools that we receive to prevent us as a way to tell us to shame ourselves from our human experience. Because what does everybody say? We are spiritual beings having a human experience, right? So to really fall into the reality of how we feel, right? And not necessarily taking wrong action or hurting other people or hurting ourselves, but with being real about what's going on, okay? Have you ever silenced yourself in a situation where you really should have spoke up? That is an extreme destroyer of self-worth, of self-trust, and of self-empowerment, self-esteem. Okay. So this is what one example of spiritual bypassing looks like. Another one would be running away from our problems by going on a spiritual retreat and then coming back and having this moment of enlightenment. I went to this retreat, whether it's Vipassana, whether it's ayahuasca, whether it's yoga, whether it's a healing goddess retreat, like going to these places because something just doesn't feel right in our life. We go, we come back feeling spiritual depth and enlightenment. We come back into our daily lives and something triggers us. And we're like, I hate this place. Look at me. I'm getting triggered. I'm getting upset. I'm falling back into my old ways. I better go back and run. I better go run to that sacred, safe place that I was at in order to get back to where I was. Okay. We're going back to these old places, these old situations, because we haven't gotten over the issue. We haven't healed this thing, and nothing ultimately has been accomplished. And so this is a form of spiritual bypassing, because again, what spirituality gives us the opportunity to do is to be present. Or to be absent, or to simply be who you are, what you are in each and every moment, and using it as a way to continue to evolve as a person. I feel that for sure. I got that comment here. You're just coming up as Facebook user, so whoever this is, thank you so much for commenting. So are we participating in true spirituality, or are we participating in self-rejection? You know, are we running from ourselves? Are we hiding from ourselves? This is something that we really have the opportunity to ask ourselves. Yeah. Like, are we not showing up? Are we not accepting who we are? Are we not accepting the now, which may be, I'm a little different today. You know, I'm a little feisty today. Maybe I should run away from it. No, that's not what spirituality is asking us to be. So let's go ahead and start getting into some other examples as well. When I talk about this, Often toxic positivity. You know, a lot of people right now are working with affirmations, are working with words of encouragement, and really trying to work with neurolinguistic programming, which is where we begin to use words and to change the concepts, to change the way that our brain naturally loops in. And the issue with this, and again, nobody's saying don't do this, right? That's not what I'm saying. I'm inviting that it might go to an extreme, which may be actually using this tool as a form of spiritual bypassing, of not dealing with and accepting who you are. Yeah. So toxic positivity would be if I'm having a rough day and if somebody's like, "How are you today?" Like somebody serious. Or maybe not serious. Who knows? It just depends on the moment. "How are you?" "Oh, I'm great. Everything is good. Everything is fine. Everything is, you know." When in reality, something serious is going on in your life. You know, maybe the answer could be, "I'm feeling a little bit off today, but, you know, I understand that this is just a part of the process and I'm okay with that. You know, I'm working through something right now. I'm feeling a little vulnerable. I'm feeling a little irritable today, but I'm present with it. I'm allowing it to be what it is, right? Rather than, oh, everything's fine. Everything's good. Everything's great." Okay. Another form of spiritual bypassing is whenever people start working with spirituality for an extended period of time, what might happen is that they start masking their weaknesses and insecurities. So you might find teachers who are like, "Oh, I've transcended that. Yeah, no, I don't deal with that anymore. I don't deal with anger. I don't deal with blaming others." This is a form of spiritual bypassing. To say that we have zero insecurity is just completely unrealistic, and it is a way of masking, putting on a mask in order to fulfill the role of spiritual person. Okay. So this is if the person, the mentor, the healer, the facilitator is wearing these masks of, "No, I'm always great." Okay. Now this I would like to lead into the second one, which I feel like all of these kind of flow in together, which is the saint mentality. A lot of people can wear these masks because saint spiritual bypassing is where we believe that saints are people, like true spiritual people, don't have a dark side. They don't do any wrong. They don't think wrong, nothing. They are just the image of perfection and light. And we genuinely start thinking, well, if you do this, if you are this way, if you do anything that has a little bit of a dark side, then you are not a saint. You are not a true spiritual person. And giving that kind of identity to people really prevents us from owning the fact that we have a shadow self. We all have trauma. We all have life experiences. We all have programs that are running in us. That's the joy of having a brain. Like that just comes. If you have a body, you have a brain, and the brain does have certain aspects of shadow self to it. So putting people up on this saint or holy pedestal really does allow them to wear these masks and start the process of deceit and start stepping too far maybe into ego. So this is the responsibility of all of us that are on a spiritual journey to recognize that we all have baggage, you know, and period. We all have baggage, period. And that you can still experience human emotions and still be a spiritual person and still have spiritual depth. You can have imperfections and still be a divinely connected human being, like a divinely connected person. Okay. So the one that I feel is nice to come after that, because again, these three kind of fall into a similar category, would be like spiritual bypassing, which really has to do with like worshiping some teachers. It's like, "Oh my gosh, you're so connected and you're so wise and you're so great and you are all of these things." Like when we become too attached to people's lessons and we become too attached to spiritual teachers, we can sometimes take their words as absolute truth. But if we think about the past couple of things that I just talked about, number one, everybody has baggage. Everybody has a perspective because we have a brain. Like, we all are looking through a lens. All right. And sure, do they have wisdom? Yeah. And so do you. So by giving personal power over to other people, by only listening and following their teachings and not really going inward, which is what the whole journey is about anyway, not learning how to access wisdom from within, not learning how to access peace and depth, connection from within, and handing it over to another person, this is a form of spiritual bypassing. All right. So don't believe everybody's words as the one and only truth, including my own. Even in this one thing, I'm sure that there are going to be some things in here that's just not true for some of you. And I honor that, and that's okay. Yeah. So the one that I find super interesting is victim mentality as a form of spiritual bypassing. So there are a lot of people that are stepping into the awareness that they are empaths, right? That they're sensitive to energies, and they take this knowledge as a way to victimize themselves. I can't change. I'm just so sensitive to everybody's energy. My spiritual gifts are just so heavy. I can't escape myself. My mom was that way. And so it's just who I am. It's just my mom was abusive. And so like I am a victim of abuse. And so, and again, there's one thing to own your truth. Yeah. There is a completely other thing to fall into victim mentality, because you are strength. You are capable of change. You are capable of growth. You are capable of overcoming anything that has happened to you. And I know that sometimes whenever we are in the cycles, or whenever the victim archetype comes forward in us, it can feel like we don't have that. It can put us in a space where we are completely unable to see that we can be happy or healthy. And thus it takes away personal responsibility and accountability towards heading in that direction. So if you feel that your spiritual gifts are so overwhelming that it takes you into a space of not feeling balanced in your life, be careful of over identifying with that archetype. Okay, because I'm also extremely sensitive, and I have learned tools to help me create stronger boundaries for myself. Okay, being an empath is not a curse. It is a gift, and only through our own perception and through our own empowerment can we learn how to turn something like this into a gift. And I highly encourage that seed to grow in some of those that feel extremely drained by the spiritual gifts that they have. I have 3 more here. The next one is transcendence through psychedelic drugs. So expanding the mind and perception. Psychedelics, they really give us the opportunity to step into depth, to expand our awareness, to see larger pictures. And what can sometimes happen where using psychedelics as a form of spiritual bypassing, is that we will use these psychedelics regularly, and we will not commit to the responsibility and the actions that we need to take in order to move forward in our personal and spiritual development. Okay. And sometimes what we can do is we can really miss out on a possibility where we are actually just really enjoying escaping our reality, escaping the difficulties that come with having to show up to our spiritual journey every day in order to really step into a space of transcendence. you know? So being careful of saying, yes, well, I use these psychedelic experiences all the time because it makes me more of a spiritual person. That's not, it's not wrong, it's not right. It is what it is, you know? Being careful that psychedelics aren't being used as a form of spiritual bypassing, and that they are used in order to maybe help catalyst you into moving forward in your own personal responsibility in in the difficulties that come with just being you and moving forward in your spiritual journey. Okay. Horoscopes, right? Horoscopes are fun. I love horoscopes, you know, but whenever we get a little bit too identified with our horoscope, what we can say is, well, I'm a Gemini, and that's just how I am. Ultimately, we can transcend all of these personality traits, these descriptions that come with horoscopes, with being aligned with the stars, right? Sure, I'm a Gemini. And I'm also a Cancer moon, and I'm also a Sagittarius rising, and I'm also this and this and this and this. And they definitely do help bring some clarity on maybe some of the behaviors or ways, natural patterns of being that we take. But to anchor ourselves down in that identity can really be a way to not move forward in our spiritual journey. Okay. So again, I love horoscopes. They are so much fun. But be careful that we don't over identify with it as a way to not own and be accountable for the things that we have to do in terms of just like being within self acceptance. The last one that I have here is righteousness. And that is when we point our fingers at everyone else that's doing something wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're doing this wrong. Look at them. They're doing it this way and they're doing it this way. It removes the responsibility for us to look within ourselves and to figure out how that trait exists and expresses itself within us. Because ultimately, you know, some people will say, oh, look at them, a judgment. Look at them. They're addicts. They're nothing, you know, but maybe where's the addict within us? Sure, maybe it's not a hard drug, but it might be something else. It might be an addiction to social media. It might be an addiction to food. It might be an addiction in other ways. And recognizing the real struggle that comes and really what those deeper meanings are to us, so that way we can transcend the judgment of what other people are doing. So all of these things, all of this research can be found online if you want to look more into these things. I wanted to hop on today to talk about it because I really was raised in a community where there was somebody who got to stand up in front of everybody else and proclaim that they had a deeper connection to God than any of us. And that because of that, because they were chosen, that they were able to tell us how to live our lives. They told us how to live, how to be, what was right and what was wrong. And really, the journey of spirituality is always changing, always growing, and it's really the journey back to self. Like to the God that resides within each and every one of us, to the uniqueness of that journey, the sacredness of that journey. And nobody can really tell us what that looks like. Are there fundamentally some golden rules? Absolutely. Be kind. You know, be kind. Do unto others as you would have done unto you. Like, it's tough out here. The world that we live on is filled with judgment and hatred and anger and all of these things. And ultimately, that's okay. Sometimes the people that I have hated the most were the people that I loved the most. You know? Sometimes the people, yeah. Duality is such a unique and interesting thing. And like, what if we didn't judge it? What if we didn't judge being happy all of the time? What if we didn't judge being sad? What if none of it mattered? What if it was all just a cloud floating by in the sky? What if it all was just a car passing by on the road? Just something to experience. In a previous live, I read the story about the horse farmer, where the horse ran away and the village people were like, oh, that's terrible. And he said, maybe, I don't know. And then the next day, the horse came back with like several other horses, and people were like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And the horse farmer was like, maybe, yeah, I don't know. And then his son got on one of the new horses, and the horse bucked him off, and he broke his leg. And everyone was like, oh my gosh, how terrible. And the farmer was just like, yeah, maybe, I don't know. And then there was a war that broke out, and these soldiers came to collect men from the villages, and they couldn't take his son because his leg was broken. And they said, wow, what great luck. And he said that, I don't know, maybe. Like, what if we took that perspective with all of the highs, the ups and the downs that we experience with our lives? Because that is just being present with it, sitting with the comfortable, sitting with the uncomfortable, and knowing that no matter what, we are lovable, we are worthy, and that we are perfectly made, and that all aspects of ourselves are deserving of love and expression in the direction of development, improvement, progression, growth. So with all of that being said, I really hope that if there are any of these things, toxic positivity, people wearing masks that they don't have weaknesses or insecurities, if you ever feel like you just fall into victimhood or you're around people that do that, if you feel that there might be something going on with the identity of transcendence through psychedelics, through horoscopes, through sainthood, through guru worship, and through righteousness, that it came into your presence here, and it gives you the opportunity to figure out what that means for you, and what that means for your relationship with self and your relationship with your inner being, with your knowing, with your God, and that your journey continues to allow you to connect more deeply with you, because you deserve it. You deserve to embody your spiritual walk, and to walk it with love and grace, and without other people telling you what to do. Getting help always helps. Like, I've had my mentors, without a doubt. I love being around people who can teach me, give me tools. But I'm all about freedom and personal development. So I love you all. Thank you so much for rocking with me. Thank you for those that commented. I see you. I love you. Thank you to those that didn't comment and just sat here and watched, whether it was during the live or maybe it's a little bit after. But wishing you all the best, wishing you the knowing that you are perfect exactly as you are, that you are allowed to experience your light, and you are allowed to experience your shadow, and that is just a part of this journey, and that it is all just what it is. Loving you all. Bye.